Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. First episode, Blessed Banter. We're so happy to have you. So, this is our very first episode that we are coming to you not live. It is edited, thank goodness, because we were just joking how we are not professional in this at all, but we will be, hopefully. So, with me today, I do have my co host for Blessed Banter. Her name is Jamie. Say hi, Jamie.
Here to party.
And we have a special guest today. Her name is Becky. Say hi, Becky.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. And
the world is watching us, so let's go.
Yeah. So if I didn't say it before, I don't think I said it before. Did I say my name is Jenny?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. See, I'm nervous. Anyway, Blessed Banter, what's it about? So we're here to talk about life, the good, the bad, the ugly. And a little bit about myself. I'm going to do a quick Aaron Brockovich here and throw some numbers at you. 2 marriages, 1 divorce, 3 kids, 2 biological, 1 step. 1 is autistic, 2 dogs, 2 cats. 1 deceased parent, 1 mother with MS. And I have a sibling who actually lives in Florida, and she's a pastor. I'll give her a shout out later for that church name. And a long line of haters, right? And hopefully they're viewing because you're still making those views go up. And just enough dysfunction and trauma that makes me funny. At least I think I'm funny. You think I'm funny, Becky?
I think you're beautiful.
Oh, well.
I'm just so jealous of your hair.
Oh, thank you.
But you're so beautiful.
I really do need to get my roots done. They're
No,
hot
you're
mess
just
right now.
you've always been beautiful, my sweet little Jenny.
Yeah, so another number, 37. Okay, that's how old I am, and about a million gray hairs that are coming in. So I am so absolutely pleased to be here. You know, we've been pumping up and hyping up Bliss Banter for about a couple of months, where we actually had the name and we're getting it going. It's presented by Lillie and Love, which is a company that I started. It's a wedding background, floral decor, rental, and not just weddings, but parties, things that you want to celebrate. And it's inspired by my grandmother, whose name is Lillie. And the reason I have Becky today is Becky is actually BFF, or was BFF, with my grandmother. She's deceased now. And, she has quite a few stories. Lillie Mae was a larger than life person who faced so much adversity in her life, but at the end of the day, she celebrated anyway. So Lillie and Love, we're going to celebrate anyway. I've been through a lot of crap in my life, but at the end of the day, it is that faith that gets me through. And this episode is actually going to talk about Christian mean girls, because I feel like we've all been in a place in our lives where we've been incredibly hurt by people who claim Christianity. And we'll get to that a little later. We'll talk more about that. But going back to my grandma, Lillie, she was a professional musician, owned businesses. I feel like she was really ahead of her time.
She was, absolutely. I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about that a lot. She was so ahead of her time, and yet held old values about so many things that made me chuckle and got her into so much trouble.
Yeah.
But
see, BFF stories. We're about to hear it.
Yeah. So I'll let you keep going, Jenny.
Yeah, I'll keep. So I think we actually have one of her songs, Jamie. I think you have it on. You were going to play it, which is, she recorded this particular song. I think she was about 19 or 20 at the time, and she got married at 15, which is what you did back then. And she was married to my papaw, Charlie, for about 64 years. And he held her hand as she had passed on. And so he was also a musician. And so they made music together with their friend Dixie Gospelers. And so I'll let you go ahead and play that.
Okay, let me get that on here.
Let me see did she write this one or just record it?
Is it on? Yeah, it is. It's playing through here for some reason. There it goes.
Oh, you're probably connected to your...
There we go. Well, it's...
Sorry, must be playing in the background.
Yeah.
Well, it's light shining down on me.
That was really memorable. That
It's
voice.
light shining down on me. When I'm burdened with sin, he whispers
bluegrass music is what they specialize in. I think so. I think she did better than Lillie. Because you know those older singers, she has that. It's not the growl, but it's just that high
nasal
voice.
twang.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She was just.
She got better, thank God.
She wrote music too. So that I mean, she
We
just
played
had,
this at our wedding.
Is that what you played?
Yeah, we played that at
Oh,
our
I think
wedding
I
when we
remember
were,
this.
when we were
That's
leaving.
the procession out, and I got all teary. I got teary eyed when we were. So they had already walked out, and that came on, and I hadn't heard
Aw.
that song or them sing. And we're in the church, which my grandma had. She established a church here in our hometown. So it was very I was in my feels. Well, anyway, that comes on. I start crying. I had fake lashes on, and my contact came out. My contact came out as we're walking down, and I'm walking down the aisle, and I couldn't see anything. And I'm trying to I have mascara going, eyelashes, contacts out. I'm crying, and it was just a hot mess. I can't remember the groomsman's name.
Which one? The one you walked down
The
with?
one that I walked with. Anyway, he was like, "This woman is nuts." Because
Well,
I'm
you come from a very passionate family.
enough dysfunction just to make me funny.
It's more dysfunction than it's a very passionate family. I will
Yes,
say that because
passionate.
of the episodes that I've encountered over the years with the very passionate family that you come from.
Passionate.
Charlie's the calm one.
Yes, which is
Oh,
so.
I love Papa.
Yes.
I love Charlie. Oh my God,
I
the
love
things he
Papa.
did for me.
Next time,
He's a
someone
good
calls me
man.
crazy.
Giving, wonderful, wonderful man.
Yeah.
I had no money, none, and he changed in the dead of winter, in my front yard in the driveway. He changed a timing belt for me. And all he did was charge me whatever the cost of the timing belt was because I was in the middle of a divorce. I had absolutely no money, and Lillie goes, "Oh, Charlie will go down there and take care of that for you." And those big, strong, wonderful hands that man had.
He
And-
had
and he
abnormally
could
large
make-
hands too. Yeah.
He could make a mandolin sing.
Yes.
And I loved Charlie so much. Well, you know how much I loved your grandpa.
Yeah.
I loved Charlie so much.
Yeah. He was the calm to the passionate. I actually whispered. I was like,
Well,
next
it was
time
a
someone calls me
little
crazy, I'm
passionate, a little
passionate.
wild.
I would say Jason is a lot like Papa. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, 2 sentences out of Jason a week is a good week.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They don't overdo.
Man of very few words, but very loving and dedicated to his family. That's how Jason is.
Yes.
I'm a very blessed woman.
Charlie was a man of the 30s in a lot of perspectives when it came to Lillie. And when we say she was a woman way beyond her time,
Yeah.
Charlie was a man way behind his time because women needed to be pregnant and in the kitchen and cooking and barefoot. And Lillie goes, "Oh no, I'm going to be a star."
Yes.
And so she walked on that attitude of Charlie's and go, no, you don't understand. I'm going to be a star. I'm going to Nashville. I'm going to be a star. And so off she went.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is when I try to explain my grandmother, it's like, okay, so she had business side Lillie, right? Which she was just an amazing businesswoman. She had her own real estate office. She sold real estate here, but she also helped bring in a housing development or a subdivision.
Oh, that was another idea. I forgot all about that.
Yeah,
Oh, but that's not the beginning.
yeah.
Well, I need to tell you how I met her.
Okay.
I hated her because we got into real estate. We had our licenses 2 weeks apart. Got our state licenses, and we signed up to go with Century 21. And so I go in and I meet this woman with this head of hair, and I'm like, "Who is this?" And she's a know-it-all right away.
Oh,
She's
geez.
like, oh, I'm ready to go sell. Just send me out the door and I'll go sell a house or whatever I need to do. So we trekked through about 2 months of trying to learn to get along, and we couldn't. We were just too much alike. We were
Passionate.
passionate. We were
wild.
both very passionate. I had 4 kids, 4 little kids under 10 years old, and I had to arrange a schedule around who I could get to watch 4 boys and try to sell real estate. And she had all this time because the only 2, I think Jeff was the youngest, and Jeff was still in at home, but he was pretty much on his own. And so the first deal that I had, we both were going after the same house.
Uh-oh.
And the rule of our office was, since we were little tiny new real estate agents, was there's a broker, you get an offer on a house, you take it to the broker, and then the broker presents it with you. Well, I got an offer on a house. It was the same house Lillie got an offer on.
Oh, my gosh.
And so
Oh,
I
no.
go in the
I can only
next
imagine.
morning and I lay my offer on the broker's desk, and she says to me, Lillie sold the house last night. She got a contract on the house. And I'm like, what? I hate this woman. It was a house that was listed by a doctor. He was in surgery.
Oh, my gosh.
She went and stood at the surgery door to get him to sign her contract, knowing that I had a contract coming in the next morning, and following the rules of our office, which was you must present the contract to the broker.
Oh, my gosh.
And from that point on, we became the worst enemies ever of each other. And it was just a love-hate thing for the longest time, because if she'd list a house, I'd try to sell it. We got to where I knew so much of her private life. As Jenny said, she overcame so much in her life.
Yeah.
I think she got married at 15, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Charlie was 8 years older than her.
He was 5 years older. He was 20
Oh, only
at the
5
time.
years older?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 8. That must have been one of my husbands. Whatever.
Wait, how many husbands?
I've only had 2.
Okay, all right, me too.
But my picker got better on my second husband.
Good.
But Lillie also helped me with the paperwork on my second husband.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because she went through my divorce with me and gave me a place to live for free. And so she said, oh, one of these days, you'll do me a favor and it'll be real estate. And I never charged a commission when any one of the boys bought a house.
Yeah.
I never got paid, because Lillie goes, oh, it's okay. I go, yeah, it's all right. So Rick started out with one of his buildings way down on Fountain Street. And I'm like, I can't charge Rick a commission. So anyway, this gentleman decided that he thought he wanted to date me. And Lillie says, you're not going to make this mistake again. I want to see his paperwork. So he packed his paperwork up.
So, okay, what's paperwork? Like background
his
check?
income,
Okay.
his W-2 forms,
Okay.
his medical,
All right.
his work
And
record.
medical.
His work record, yeah. Well, it was back when AIDS was running
Oh,
rampant.
God. Okay. All right.
So he worked at Honda, so he had lots of medical. They had to do
Oh,
medical.
yeah,
and
yeah.
they had the wellness center, so
Yeah.
he worked out all the time. And so he went out and knocked on her door, and he said, I want to date Becky. And she
Aw.
said, I can't date you unless I get Lily's approval. So,
Oh, my
yeah,
gosh.
so that's kind of knowing
So-
that my picker was on the right track, because we've been married for, I can't remember, 20-some years, 26,
And this is
27 years.
Dan.
This is Dan.
Aw.
Yes.
Well, shout out to Dan the man.
So
because
she had a lot to do with don't let this guy go. His paperwork looks great.
his paperwork.
His paperwork.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well,
go
so
ahead.
it sounds like, you guys were at Century 21, and it sounds like she was already kind of over not being the broker boss, right? So she got her own brokerage, and that's when she started.
Well, no, there
Lillie
was a
and
whole
or
lot
what
more
could we-
years to Century 21. We
Okay,
had a
all
whole
right.
lot more years. And it was, we were together there at Century 21, it seemed like forever. And as the years went by, we just became closer and closer. And it was almost like a race. If she wrote a contract that week, I had to get a contract that week. There just was no doubt. We would spend hours on the phone going over details about personalities and about this person and that person, and we'd help each other find homes. And what is so sad nowadays with all the rules and regulations and everybody wanting to sue each other, you can't have that camaraderie anymore. You can't have that oneness that was so important back then to help another person finding somebody in the mood. I'm sure today we'd have probably got sued 100 times, but it was all good. It was a wonderful time.
So that goes to, okay, so, it sounds like my grandma was a little bit of a Christian mean girl there, like trying to beat you out of a contract.
Well, of course.
So, I think we all have been guilty of, we have good intentions, right? And at the end of the day, we are all human beings. We're going to let each other down. The only person, and he was Son of God, right? He is the only perfect person. And I feel like there's so many times that we put our hope and our expectations on our friends, on our family. And my grandma, she was also an ordained minister. So, for her to, in the rat race of business, she maybe sounds like she was just being too competitive, which happens, right? So we got to stop putting so much into people. People are going to let you down every single time. Am I right? How many times have you been hurt by somebody who's been a Christian?
Fiddle-dee-dee.
Right?
I don't even want to count.
Yeah.
But the thing about learning to understand, everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And only God knows everybody's story.
That's right.
And so to judge someone because they act a certain way and they don't act the way you think they ought to act,
Yeah.
that's a no judgment zone. Because of starting to know each other better, we really became so tight.
And she helped you out. And I know you don't want to, I'll give, that freedom to you to go into that story, but your first marriage, she helped you.
She said, I've got a 1-room apartment. You can live there as long as you need to live there.
Yeah.
And you'll pay me back somehow. And like I said, I put a lot of deals together.
Yeah.
Her and I did. Her and I just clicked. We became such close friends, and she shared so much with me. I know that, I don't know how deep you want to go, but she lost little Charlie in the chain wreck.
Yes. So.
And that was to be at her age and to lose that child. And she told me about it many times. And to keep telling people that there is a baby, and nobody would listen to her. They thought the baby was Rick, and it was little Charlie that was gone. And
so I'll give a little bit of, more detail into that. So, again, she got married at 15, and my daughter's 15. So first of all, that is non-negotiable, not happening. Cause I'm at the point where I'm like, we ain't talking about marriage until you're at least 30. I need degrees. I need multiple degrees.
right.
Back then, it was a different time.
And it was a different time back then.
was.
I get it. So I think she was 16 or 17. She had Junior, and then she had Rick as well.
Right.
So I think she was about 17 at the time. So she went to the store. She had the baby, who was 2 at the time?
Yeah.
I think he was about 2 at the time. And then, of course, Rick was an infant. and she went inside. She was parked on what would be a hill, I guess, and the parking brake wasn't on. The car went back, it slid down and it stopped on railroad tracks. And when she came out, she heard a train coming. And of course, there was no, guards or, the lights or anything back then. She ran to the car, grabbed Rick, who was, again, an infant, got him out, went back to grab Junior. And from what I understand, the stories that I've been told, he thought he playing a game. She would go to grab him. He would run to the other side.
Yep.
And then it was that back and forth until the train was right on the car and she had to make a decision. This is like, I can't even, as a mom, getting in my feels. She had to make a decision to step away. And that train hit the car and killed her 2-year-old son in front of her. And I mean, that's one of the things that my grandma went through. And back then, they didn't talk about things like mental health and anxiety and depression.
Right.
It was just save face, right? Put a smile on your face, put some lipstick on.
Well, and pray about it.
Pray about it,
and it'll be all right.
Yeah. And so
And
for her to continue to be a light in the dark for a lot of people. She continued to go on and continue evangelism and music and make music and tell people about God. When she passed away, my sister and I were in the house and, we're just going through the things and, how the family does at that point in time. We came across her journal and we found Junior's jean jacket, and it was a 2T, be 2T in sizes these days, but a little jean jacket. And it was with the journal. And in the journal, she was writing her heart out. I mean, that's basically was her therapy, was she was just writing. And in it said, God, while I don't understand why this has happened and I'm hurting so badly, I still trust you.
yeah. And she was in the hospital.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether the train actually hit her too and threw her over into
Yeah.
the ditch. But I can't, any woman that loses a child for
Yeah.
whatever reason is my hero. Thank God I have 4 sons and I don't know how I could go on every day. I have so many friends who have lost their children to car wrecks and to overdoses and so many things. And yet she went on. And I'm going to tell you, now, did you know the story about her going to Nashville?
I don't think I know.
Okay. I don't know how old she was.
Okay.
And I don't know who watched the kids for her.
Okay.
But she went by herself on a Greyhound bus. And she had a little tiny suitcase, those little brown suitcases
Yeah.
we all remember. And she had her big hair and her high heels because Lillie never wore anything but dresses until I got to influencing her a little too much. So here she's gone. She couldn't have been 20, 21 years old.
Yeah.
And she gets off the bus in front of a hotel, and I can't remember which hotel she told me it was. And she walks in with her suitcase, and she knows she's going to be a star with big hair. And
This
so
is Dolly Parton era too, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, she told me a story that Dolly saw this lady with this big blonde hair, and she says, I want my hair like that.
Yeah.
And she swears that's how Dolly got. She had a newspaper clipping for an interview with Dolly, so she swears that's
That
why
she was
Dolly.
the inspiration, Dolly
Yes, that
Parton. If
she
you're
was
listening to
Dolly's
this, we need
inspiration
validation.
for the big head.
Okay.
And so she goes into this hotel down there in Nashville, and so it's back in the, gosh, what, I don't know, maybe early 50s.
Yeah.
Would that have been? Or
60s maybe.
early 60s,
Yeah.
yeah. And so Nashville was Nashville, but not like it is today. Everybody knew everybody. So she goes in and she checks into the hotel, and she sees these 2 bums sitting over there at a table, and she's thinking, well, I could probably throw them a couple 50 cents or whatever to carry my bag upstairs. So she says, I need some help. Would you guys carry my bag? So these two bums carry her bag upstairs, and she gets all settled in her room, and that she took a little nap, and she came downstairs. And they had a restaurant there
Yeah.
in the hotel, and now I don't know how exactly it happened, but she saw those two bums sitting there eating, and they started chuckling. So she walks over, and it was Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings. They
Oh my
carried her
gosh.
luggage up to her
Are
room.
you kidding?
I'm not kidding.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
not kidding.
Two of my favorite singers, by the way, of all time. I didn't even see what I mean. This is why. Listen, you all know how BFFs are, right? This is Grandma's BFF, so I'm sure she has some stories in the vault that her family doesn't know. And
Well,
this is one of them. I did not know that.
you didn't.
Yes, Lukenbach, Texas, by the way, is my favorite Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings songs. You know that song.
And look how old they are. Isn't it great?
Oh, I love
And
them.
they're
I
still
absolutely
singing
love
like crazy.
Yeah.
You know, when
Well, Waylon's not. Waylon's gone, but Willie is.
well, God only knows why. He's still trying to get a hold of him, I think. But, and hopefully Willie will be singing in heaven if anybody has anything to do
Him
with
and my
it.
grandma probably. Or, well, you know.
Well, and after Lillie passed, and I've told you this, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. She came to visit me twice in dreams, and they were very vivid. And Charlie, after Lillie died, would go to the cemetery every day and sit.
Every single day.
Every
that man
day.
was
And I
dedicated.
said, Charlie, listen to me. You cannot live your faith and sit at a grave with dead bones. This is not where she's at. And I loved him so much, and I know how much he was hurting. And anyway, Lillie come flying in one day, and your dad always flew the plane.
Yeah.
Ronnie always flew the plane. But she'd get out, and she'd run over to me real quick, and she said, now listen, I got to get back. I'm in charge of the kids. It's so much fun. I'm teaching so many of the kids
This
to
is your
sing.
dream. This is your dream you're talking about. that you
Yeah,
had.
yeah. And so I'm going, okay. But she says, you've got to tell Charlie to quit hanging around that cemetery.
Oh my gosh.
Just deliver that message to him. This is not where I am. I'm having so much fun up here. And he'll be here soon, but please, please let him know I'm not there. I said, okay. She said, gotta go, gotta get back. I got things to do. And she did that twice. And it was like, you can believe it or not. I don't really care.
So those types of dreams, I truly believe that our loved ones do come to us in dreams. I truly believe that.
I do. The biblical term, they send the angels back and forth, but the communication from God so much is, I believe, in our dreams. But that dream was real.
Yeah.
Twice. It was factual. And I went to him twice and said, Charlie, please don't spend time at the cemetery, because she is having a ball. And she wanted me to tell the kids that. I knew Ronnie was okay. And so it's just another, I've had like 8 or 9 of those experiences, but those 2 were with Lillie, and that message had to go to Charlie.
That's amazing. That gives me chills. I really do believe there's been a lot of things that have happened. And funny enough, so again, they were married 64 years, and the night that my grandmother passed, we were all in hospice, and all of us were in the room. I mean, we're sleeping on the floor, the cot, whatever was going on. And I actually have her ring on. It's one of the rings. When she passed, breaks my heart every time. I actually wrote a poem about it right after it happened. I'm going to put it up on my blog, Lillie in Love website, and we can put a link to that or whatever. But my grandfather was sitting by her, and he's just holding her hand, and she had gone. And the nurse came in, and she said, sir, I'm going to take the rings off, you know. And I remember my dad was standing behind, and we're just kind of observing this, and my grandfather's crying. And he took her rings off, her wedding rings, and he's holding them. And he took this off, and it's the ring that they got on their cruise one of the cruises that they went on, from my understanding. And my papa turned around and he handed it to my dad, and he said, she wanted Jenny to have this. And I actually have it, and it's something that I will forever treasure. And you just had to know, Lillie. But again, what's funny is when I got this, my grandmother, when she says she never went out of the house without makeup on, I don't think I ever saw my grandmother. I don't care if it was emergency surgery. I don't care what it was. I don't think I ever saw my grandmother without a full bead of makeup, her nails done, hair
Big
looking
hair.
fabulous. Yeah. So what was funny is my grandma had CoverGirl foundation and nail polish always, wherever she sat. So on the side table, it would be her bedside table. She would always just kind of freshen up, right, as she would go through the day. So this ring had caked foundation
Cake making.
in the bottom of it, where you probably can't see this, but anyway, caked foundation. And I sat and I laughed. It made me laugh. And I didn't clean it out for the longest time because it would just give me a giggle, because it was literally however many years of my grandma grabbing foundation and just doing this in her chair. But so I actually had to get a toothpick and like push out like this, like it was just crazy. But when we talk about, her and her life and overcoming adversity, losing her own child in that traumatic way is just one of the things that she went through. But she continued to be somebody who tried anyway, right? And it's like what she had written, God, I trust you anyway. And all of the stuff that I've experienced in my life, and I'm going to tell you, on my grandmother's deathbed, she was praising God, like singing.
Rick told me, because
Yeah.
I felt so bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
I wanted to be with you guys, and I couldn't. I was getting ready to go on a cruise, and thank God Rick was giving me updates
Yeah.
several times a day. And he said was it 3 days or more that she sang
Yes.
gospel songs so that her whole hallway was filled with singing.
Yes, it absolutely. I have never in my life seen someone more excited to die, like zero fear. And all of us cousins, and my sister will say this, it changed our life. We had never experienced someone with that much fierce faith. We joke and say she like crashed through the gates of heaven.
She sang her way into
like
heaven.
she was like, I'm ready
That's
to go.
probably
right
why
now.
she got the children that she gets to teach the kids.
Yeah,
because
in
she
your
sang her
dream,
way into heaven.
She was, leading
Yeah.
a choir. I mean,
Yeah.
so I had never experienced that in my life. And when I tell you it was life changing for myself, and I was going through a really difficult time at the time. So, I'll get into that another time, but my marriage was failing at the time. My son, we had just found out, the autism diagnosis. And I mean, I was just like, there's been times I've been so mad at God, and I'm just like, I can't talk to you right now because and I've been in those, and I think we've all been there. But
I think, and I'll tell you this, I never got to meet Lillie, but I do know, and there's lots of things that's turned me, because I didn't always used to be, saved. I didn't grow up in a household with God.
yeah,
And it's not something we talked about. We didn't pray. There was nothing like that. I don't even think we had a Bible in the house.
yeah,
It wasn't something that was talked about. It wasn't that it, dismissed, but
Yeah.
it wasn't something I grew up
yeah,
in that type of household. So, when I met Jason, he's just like Papa. They're exactly like, if you ever get to sit down and talk to Jason and he gives you more than 2 sentences, then you'll know. But he, when I was pregnant, he took me to the church they started out here on 67. And I had never been there until the day he brought me there. And it was night. And he went through the window to get in there. And he got me in there. We're sitting in there, and I'm just sitting up there looking like I've been here before. And I told Jason, and at that time, I didn't know anything about Lillie. I didn't know what she looked like. I didn't know anything. And I said, but I've been in this church. And the day I was in this church, I was dreaming. And at the time, I didn't know I was having a boy.
So this was a dream that you had before all of this. is what you're
Yes,
saying?
yeah, I didn't know I was having a boy. And I was sitting in the church, and I couldn't really see who was up there. And I was sitting next to a woman with big blonde hair. Okay?
Big head.
Big head of blonde hair.
Yeah.
And she goes, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "My son's up there." I'm going to cry. Because at that point, I felt like it was somebody telling me I'm
She
going to be
didn't
having
know
a boy.
that she
I
was
didn't
having
know.
a
I
boy
was only
yet.
like maybe a month or two
Now,
pregnant.
this is one of your dreams?
Yes.
She had this was her dream, yeah.
And she said, she asked me, "Why are you here?" And I said, "My son's up there." And she looked at me and she goes, "Isn't that nice?" And that was it. That was the dream. And I woke up. So when Jason brought me in there, I was in shock because that is where I was. And I said, I knew at that point, I was like, he's bringing me to this church. This is the church in my dream. Whoever that woman was telling me, you have a son. This is where he's going to be. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
And Mason came out looking just like Jason. I can't even tell you.
Yeah, there was no denying that.
And
kid.
Connie even said the birthmarks on his body, she said, were the exact same birthmark Charlie had. She said Lillie had touched that baby before he came here. She said, there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
And I know when he was born, the whole family was, anticipating whether or not he was Jason's, but we won't get into that. But only because of the circumstances on how we became, together,
Another episode, yeah.
Another, yeah.
That's a story for another
It
day.
wasn't, it's not as bad as it sounds, but, and everybody was all, you saw the picture, can't deny that one. That's 100% Whitaker,
Yeah.
head to toe. I mean, he looks just like he's Jason's
Have you ever
mini.
seen Mason? You ever seen him in person? Cute as a button. Just cute as. First of
Well,
all,
of
bright
course
blonde
he
hair.
is. If he looks like Jason, he's cute as a
Well,
button.
he has Jason and I see a lot of Jamie, but he's bright blonde hair, beautiful blonde hair like his mommy, and just the sweetest little boy. Just
Looks
super,
just like
yeah.
his dad, but with blonde hair. Imagine Jason, blonde hair.
Yeah.
We, I think we're talking about the dreams that we have, and the more that you open your heart and your mind to the discipline of God, those dreams become more in your life, and you know that they're real compared to a nightmare or something that's bothering you in your life. But when you have those God visions, you have to take them and say, this world is just a pass through. We're just here in training. I'm just here to get.
Yeah.
I'm only here to recruit more people that don't know your story.
Yeah.
And how wonderful you are. And we are given beautiful messages constantly. And those who ignore them miss the mark of what the faith that we have is really all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just so many times when I needed her, Lillie was there. So many times I would see her strength on how are you doing this. But God wanted us to laugh and carry on and have good times together.
Yeah.
And when Jenny said she was a woman before her time, Lillie started an exercise workout business.
This makes me laugh much.
When nobody thought about why would you want to have a gym and then go
It was
exercise?
a gym membership.
Yes, it was a
idea,
gym
business
membership.
idea in our small town, which is wild.
Yeah, she started this gym thing.
Which
And,
is so funny to me.
So she had all these women coming in there, and they had maybe 4 or 5 different things to do, and nobody to lead you, but it worked for her. And Charlie, old-fashioned, living in the 30s, Charlie said, no, this is not working. I'm not. My wife is not going to do this.
Oh boy.
And so there became this split between their thought waves on what a woman what a woman should be doing. And Charlie would drive back and forth by the gym, and Lillie would call me and say, Charlie's pacing back and forth with the car, and he's got to learn that I have a job up here and I have to be here when people are here. And it became a real challenge. I said, don't you give in to him, Lillie. I said, if you have to sleep on that couch, you have to make him understand that women have independent lives, and we have our own thoughts, and the way we want to do things is a certain way, and he's just going to have to change.
Oh my God. Okay, so we're going to pause there because you're the friend that Memo would call to get hype up.
Yeah.
You weren't the friend she called to be like, okay, I need some like calm advice. I need to get hype and let my husband know what's going on. And
Jenny calls me for that advice. She'll be like this, what should I do? Listen, you're going to get arrested if I tell you what to do.
She's
Because
not.
I'm going to get you somewhere you don't want to be, but I got bail money.
she's
I'm
like,
here
listen.
for you. Jenny's like, no, Jamie.
There's so many times that I call her and I'm just all fired up about something. I'm just, I can't believe this. What should I do?
There's only one time she's called me and I said, don't do that.
One time.
One time. Any other time I'm like
do
this.
that.
Because I'm usually the
Don't.
one that like I'll call myself after talking to her because she's like so wild. And I'm like, no, Jamie, be nice. Like we can't do that. And like by the end of the conversation, I talked myself down because she's like, I'm like, okay, well, first of all, Rocket Mortgage and Capital One, yeah, they ain't gonna care if I'm in jail. They still want their money, all right? So I can't be losing jobs and all this. But one time I was hype enough that I scared her a little bit.
She scared me enough that I'm calling Amy. I'm messaging Amy. I'm
Yeah.
calling up Kathy. I said, listen here, she's gonna get in jail.
Yeah, I was hype.
She's gonna get arrested. We got to get. And I
But
was
that's
like,
only because they don't know who she is.
Yeah,
Lillie used to use that all the time.
really.
Apparently you don't know who I am.
Yeah, you don't know who I am?
You don't understand how important I am. Because she would tell you.
Honestly, the situation without getting a cease and desist in the letter, I'll be nice. All right. This is actually not, it was not that long ago, but it was comments on something that I had my deceased dad.
Oh, silly girl.
Yeah.
You don't need to pay any
and I
attention
was
to small town Kenton.
You know, but the thing was, it's like, okay, talk about me all day, but when my kids are in it, and then it was something like with my deceased dad, when I tell you, I was real close, y'all. I was real close. This is why I need Jesus, and this is what I tell people, because there is a part of me, and maybe you guys agree, there's a part of me that if I didn't have Jesus, I would be straight gangster. And I mean, like, just mean girl. Like, so Christian mean girl, that, like, yeah, there's been times
I
that
have Jesus, and I am still like that. I'm
If
ready
I
to.
didn't have Jesus, I would run a bordello. Because I know I could make big money.
Okay, what's
And
a
God says,
what's a
no,
bordello?
no. Huh?
What's a bordello?
A whorehouse. I can't believe you girls didn't, with all your education, you did not know that.
No, I don't know.
Oh,
That's
well,
a bordello.
I could
It's a
ma-
nice way of saying
I could
whorehouse.
I
make-
knew what that was with my GED. I don't know what's going on with Jenny. I can't help her today.
I listen. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you a story. I've been dying to tell you this story about Jenny, or about Lillie.
Okay, I was like,
Lillie,
oh gosh.
Lillie always had big cars to go with her big hair.
Yes. And
She always had
ramped curves daily.
Lincoln Continentals or Mach 5s or whatever, but she always had big cars. You could have rammed a combine with them because they were just big cars. And she was driving one day, and I know she had to be speeding. Of course she was speeding. No doubt that she was speeding, and here comes a state patrol on 309. And out comes a woman, state patrol.
Oh gosh.
Well, let me tell you, hometown girl Lillie, she says, ma'am, you were speeding. I wasn't speeding that much. She said, but I'm going to have to give you a ticket. She said, young lady, you need to go home and raise babies.
Oh.
And you have no business being in a man's world, driving around in a cop car wearing this uniform. She reamed her out one side and down
Oh
the
my
other.
gosh.
It was so funny. She come back to the office. She goes, that woman gave me a ticket. And I told her she had no business being out there wearing that uniform, looking like a man, trying to strut like a man and give me a ticket.
Oh my
And I'm like,
gosh.
oh, it's a wonder she didn't get her for half a dozen other things, the way she
Yes.
drives.
Yes.
But
I feel like
yeah.
we need a
she
disclaimer.
had her old school ways.
Yes. Quick disclaimer. We love all of our service
Yeah.
women, state troopers. We love you. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. New generation, still a little feisty, Lily, but I super respect you. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah,
I don't want to
so
cease and desist.
we don't want to disrespect anybody, but
I don't want to.
that was
You
just
know, though, listen, I'm like that. I'm not like that, but I do have a little bit of a sassy mouth when it doesn't matter.
A little? Sassy
a little
mouth?
sassy. And
There's been
when,
things-
when the
listen.
police had to come to the house and come, talk to Jason about something, I went like this. He don't need to come outside. He needs to, you can talk to him inside here. He behind me.
I've learned cuss words
Yeah,
from her, like
you
new
know?
cuss words, things I've never heard before, and I'm 37. I've heard from
We're
her,
little-
and I'm like,
little spicy.
well. There you brought that age up again.
I know. Why do
Now,
I
if
keep-
you're going to constantly bring up age,
listen?
I
I'm
just
not
had a
saying I have-
stroke, you know.
I'm not having a midlife, but I might be having a midlife. I'm just saying. But I don't know why I keep bringing up my age.
I have nightgowns older than you, so shut up. I have nightgowns from my first marriage on my honeymoon.
Oh gosh,
I know.
we need to burn them. You want to burn them? We should do that.
Well,
Wouldn't it
but
be fun?
they're still good. Listen, Vanity Fair. If you ever own anything Vanity Fair, it will never wear out.
I think I
They
do
don't
own
make things
something
like that
Oh, I
anymore.
have panties. Can I say that? I have panties that are Vanity Fair. I do. Sorry, I don't want to be inappropriate.
We got off track.
I don't wear any.
What?
She doesn't wear underwear.
I have a grandson like that.
I do.
I don't know whether it's because
sometimes.
he's cheap and he just doesn't.
I do sometimes. It
I
just
know, but
depends on
he
the-
has like all his kibbles and bits are out. Ours are in. So I don't know. Maybe it's different.
I know a lot of women that don't.
I have to.
Well, a
depending on the
thong is the
situation.
same as no underwear.
Basically.
Yeah.
Well, I wear those.
Well, I got a funny story about.
then
okay.
you
I got
are
a funny
underwear
story about
less.
Lily and underwear.
Oh gosh. All right, let's hear it.
Okay. Back in the day, we had 2 or 3 video rentals when tapes. What do they call it? VHSs?
Yep, VHS.
When VHSs came out, we had 2 places in town and one out in the country a little ways that you could go in and rent VHS tapes. And they had, well, Lily, even though she lived in the country, she went to city council. And she's like, I think this is a blah, 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 blah. And she went on and on. Of course, she didn't cuss, but she could get loud. And she was talking, trying to get them banned and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, they did try to explain to her that they were behind a different section and you had to show your ID to even get back there to rent these things.
Oh my gosh.
And so the whole town, I mean, there was paper articles about it years ago. So she was out to Kroger's one day, and everybody was writing in and letters to the editor, plus and minus on this.
Yeah.
And she was out to Kroger's one day, and it was very windy. Very windy.
I remember you telling me this. It's hilarious.
And she somehow, she'd either just gone to the bathroom before she went out of Kroger's, and she had her big car there with her big trunk.
Yeah.
And she's putting her groceries in the big trunk of the car, and she had caught her back of her dress in her pantyhose, and she had no underwear in her pantyhose. And somebody came by that was totally against her position on triple-rated movies.
Yeah.
And she wrote her this nasty letter that ended up at our office. I'll dare you talk against triple-rated when you're exposing your backside in the middle of the Kroger parking lot. And it got all over town. It was so funny, and poor Charlie was so embarrassed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She's something else, man. Like
Yeah.
it was just there will never be another another Lillie. So, I mean, the story's the story. I mean, she was just again this larger than life person, but yeah, she was a huge influence in my life. I think anybody's life that she, came across, and so that's what's important to me, because just some going through a lot, and having my own life that's happened, celebrating anyways, which is really the Lillie and Love part of the business, which is just I want to help people make their events beautiful. I want you to celebrate anyway. Life is hard. It's going to stay hard. It's going to get harder probably in certain scenarios. We probably create our own storms, and there's been a lot of things that had I acted different, I probably wouldn't have had as much storm. But
but you were from a passionate family.
we're a passionate family.
You're passionate.
So, that's what I mean. You got to celebrate anyway. Life is going to continue to happen. And just because you claim to be a Christian, it doesn't mean you're not going to have problems in your life. You're going to have problems because it's life. And we're going to experience people who are on a same journey as you, maybe not, as Christian, or maybe they think they're more Christian than you, and they're going to be human beings. So if I do anything in this episode, and when I say this, I want to take this moment. Don't you ever give up on your faith just because people let you down. The only person who is never going to let you down is God himself and his son, Jesus. So if there's anything that you take from this, is to never let go of your faith, and you continue to look to the person, that the only one that matters. When you get to the gates of heaven, they're not going to look around you and talk about Jane Doe, John Doe, or anybody else. They're going to look at you, and they're going to talk about you and your works and what you've done in this life. And your response, hopefully their response, is well done. And you get to walk in. So live each day like it's your last. Live each day, celebrate, and continue to love one another and be good to each other.